You know that he's contesting against Ali.
I know. He's going against Duale. Good evening. I'm Jeff Koinange, and this is Jeff Koinange live at the Villa Rosa Kempinski. And you know, if it's Wednesday, it's all about politics 101. What a week it's been. Started off with a grand march to Anniversary Towers. And the question is, why all of a sudden is IEBC the criminal here? Maybe we can look back to several months ago. Okoa, Kenya. Big disaster. Failure, if you will. IEBC kicked that one out. Not enough signatures. And that's why the opposition called. Maybe wants IEBC out. Will they succeed? That's one of the issues we're going to be talking tonight. Also, other stories making news. I've got on the bench today, sit back, I tell you, a man who was former member of parliament for Lagdera, former deputy speaker, and now has announced he's running for Garissa town member of parliament. He wants to unseat House Majority Leader Aden Duale. Can he do it? We'll ask him. Farah Maalim is in the house. The man in the middle. You just love and loathe this man in equal measure. You can see on Twitter, he holds nothing back. There's been a tweef, if you will, between him and a guy called Nelson Avi. We'll find out what that's all about. But the Grand Mullah, that's right, man known as Ahmednasir Abdullahi, the publisher of Nairobi Law Monthly, senior counsel, a man you do not mess around with. And now he's taken on Waiguru's case. What's that about? We'll ask him. Both gentlemen are here today. Twitter handles are at Farah Maalim, at Ahmednasir Law, at Koinange Jeff. The hashtag, as always, on Wednesdays, Politics 101. Sit back, better yet, lean forward. Gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum
salam alaikum. Oh, let me just greet you in a language. Cairo Abdi, all the way from Canada, told me to greet you in this language. Let me see if it's right. I hope I'm not abusing you or anything, okay? Here we go. Iska warama walai.
Walal.
Wala. Iska warama walal.
It means, she says, how are you doing? And we say peace.
How are you doing, my brothers?
Yes, my brothers.
Is that okay?
Yes, very okay.
You see?
You're managing it.
All right, gentlemen, let's start on a very sober note. Former First Lady Lucy Kibaki passed away 24 hours ago. And I knew, you probably knew her.
Yes.
Tell us.
Oh, yes. Which I think the little bit that every Kenyan knew about her was that she was honest. She said it as she saw it.
She called it, yes.
And she talked the heart of the nation quite often. She stood by her husband to the end. I mean, she was an exceptional woman. And we lost a first lady who was very good. There's no question about that.
Absolutely. Grandmother.
No, I think our condolences to the former president and his family. I mean, I think she was a great lady. I mean, she had a larger-than-life personality. I think Kenyans of all walks of life really have sent their message to the family, and so do we.
Yeah, yes. Absolutely.
She was also a very good mother who stayed at home until you got to her home. I mean, when you get too much on her husband, then she had to come out to defend him. There's no question about that.
Swinging.
Yes. And then you get to her family also, she will.
Absolutely.
And she was good. She was exceptional. Our condolences. We're grieving with the family.
Absolutely. And our condolences to Mzee, Judy, Jimmy, David,
all
Tony,
of them,
their families.
Yes.
We wish them all the very best, and they're in our thoughts and prayers.
Absolutely.
Okay, gentlemen, let's switch gears. 2/3 gender rule that just today, Mheshimiwa, you were former deputy speaker.
Yes.
More than 100 MPs were missing from parliament today when the vote was supposed to happen. I mean, come on, man. Is this a travesty? Is this a shame for us men? What does this say about us?
About not being able to do your job in parliament?
Yes.
Missing in action?
Yes.
Today was a Wednesday, by the way. Ordinarily, you should have more members of parliament on a Wednesday morning in the House, because that's a private member's motion. That's what really interests the members of parliament a lot, because there are topical issues that they discuss that end up with a resolution or end up maybe with a position. But I think, yes, the manner in which members of parliament have transacted business in the House, not just now, but throughout progressively in the last couple of parliaments, it's wanting. There's no question about it.
Yeah.
Seriously wanting, yes.
And you want to go back in there?
Yes.
You want to?
Yes.
Can you beat Aden Duale?
In the next election?
Yes.
Let me tell you one thing. Aden Duale was here with you on the show.
Yes.
And he described me as a village politician and said that he was in the same league with Raila Odinga and Uhuru and Ruto and the rest of it.
Yes.
Well, the fact of the matter is that Aden was still in school when I was a member of parliament many, many years back, over 22 years ago. And having said that, I'm not one person who goes out there and brags and says that I can do so much. Well, let's wait and see. Let's, you know, the test of the pudding is in the eating. So let's watch. I mean, it's not a long way away. And in time, you can send your own opinion pollsters to tell you how the situation is on the ground. But let me tell you one thing.
Go on.
Aden lost the last election.
What do you mean he lost?
He lost the last election by about 3,000 votes against a very young man who was in this race for the first time seriously. And he rigged himself. And if he tells you that he did not rig himself, I'm prepared to pick up the Holy Quran and swear to it. You know, a Muslim never swears to falsehood. Ask him to swear to it.
Grand Mullah, are you listening to this?
Let me finish. And beyond that, let me tell you,
yes,
the demonstration is there. There was not a single MCA from URP in the parliament today in the county assembly of Garissa, in Garissa township, where he was elected as a member of parliament. He could not win one MCA.
I think first on
three of the MCAs are from ODM.
I mean, first on the gender bill, I'm surprised you are disappointed with parliament.
Why?
What has this parliament done really? I mean, this is one of the most disappointing parliaments we ever had. You can't really put anything on your fingers in terms of what they have achieved.
Right.
So, I mean, that you are now disappointed, I mean, I'm a little bit surprised because Kenyans have been disappointed from day one, whether it's the speaker, whether it's the members of parliament, whether it is the general legislative agenda. I mean, they have been pursuing, you know, very petty legislations, you know, whether it's giving themselves immunity, whether it's giving themselves allowances. I think Kenyans really are disappointed with this.
Thank goodness they passed the anti-doping bill, though.
Yes,
they had to do that.
There was a
that's the
deadline.
pressure. There was so much pressure from the World Body Organization, and then Kenya had a deadline, or they will have missed the Olympic in Rio.
Correct.
Yes, yes. And I think for the fight between Farah and Duale, I think it will be a huge fight, gigantic fight. I mean, two of the big personalities, you know, in northern Kenya fighting over this constituency. Royal battle. Let's wait for let's see who will win.
Okay, can this man beat the fourth most powerful man in Kenya right now?
Are you sure he's the fourth, not the third?
Third is the speaker.
Because he talks about the third. Let me tell you one thing.
I mean, the election isn't that far, so let's wait and see.
Let's wait and see.
Okay,
let's wait and see.
Okay, gentlemen, you are caught. You are solidly in court, aren't you? In ODM.
Always. In the last couple of years. I mean, court is only as old as the last election, by the way.
Did you
and
march?
Before that, I was in
Did you march
ODM.
on Monday on the IEBC?
No.
Offices?
No. I had some very, very urgent
I'm sure
issues.
so did Kalonzo, but why didn't you march?
Well, I had some, look, for me, marching and being tear gassed has been part of my life. You know that this was there from the 90s. I'm not a new man in this. And the guys who probably are going to experience it for the first time, maybe Kalonzo and Wetangula and those people who are not in the opposition those early days. And for me, I always used to have the unfortunate situation of being tear gassed because everybody runs away from me. me and you know, a very famous lawyer called Muturi Kigano, you know Muturi Kigano,
yes.
would be left behind there,
right,
and tear gassed like hell. But it's not a big deal. We're used to it.
But what happened on Monday?
Has been used to it.
What happened on Monday? Your thoughts?
I think we have a constitutional right ourselves to demonstrate and to go out there and show our outreach. IEBC, you want to ask me about the IEBC?
Yes.
That IEBC should have gone many years back.
Come on. You were in the parliament, the last parliament, when you approved this present IEBC as it exists.
And
you all gave it a green light.
Absolutely. And I regret it very much. and I've apologized also on the media a number of times on the same, and say I regret the efforts I did myself to have this IEBC. We were hoping that the new IEBC, because of what we went through in the post-election violence, the fact that we almost got a failed state, and the few by-elections they conducted before we came to the main one. But when the way they conducted the main one was a disaster, a serious disaster.
Friend Muller, do you believe this stuff?
No, this, I mean, CORD's action last time was misguided policy, really, I mean, I don't see, there are two issues here. If you want to riot in the streets of Nairobi, that's a constitutional right. Nobody will stop you. We have a very progressive constitution, the right to picket, the right to demonstrate, the right to shout is a constitutional right. Nobody begrudges anybody if you want to do that. But trying to storm a constitutional office and removing a person, I mean, that's a different ballgame. There is no law that allows anybody, whether it is Raila or Kalonzo or Wetangula, to storm a constitutional office and say, I want to remove this. I mean, who the hell are they to do that?
Yeah.
Look. And the last election, I mean, I tell guys, when we're doing the Supreme Court case, that the last election was one of the most peaceful elections in the history of Kenya. A single guy died in Karen due to a heart attack.
One person.
There was not a second fatality anywhere in the country. I mean, it went so peaceful. So what happened between the last election and 2016 for court to say that we want to remove?
So what do you think their agenda is? Why do they want IEBC removed?
I mean, I don't think they really want to. They can't. I don't think they really want to push the removal of IPC. They just want to set the narrative, in my view. I mean, the court want to set the narrative for the country that we are relevant, that we can drive the agenda, and that's why now they have gone on this issue of we want to picket once a week, or we want to go to the central bank, or all this. But I don't think court's agenda is to remove IEBC.
Mheshimiwa,
Ahmed is not a member of court. If anything, he represents the other side in courts.
Does he?
Oh yes, he represented the
Is he Jubilee?
Jubilee side.
No,
well.
I represented IEBC.
Just a moment. And you should ask him, because he's an interested party. He cannot say anything.
How is he an interested party?
He represents IEBC, and we're trying to remove IEBC.
No, I represented that time. I am not the lawyer, but I just acted for the chairman in that one single case.
Should he leave?
What for? I mean, what has he done wrong? I mean, the mere fact that a politician dislikes you is actually a good reason to stay in an office. The mere fact that they dislike you means you're doing a good job.
Go on.
Let me tell you one thing. I don't think the IEBC, as constituted today, has any moral authority to stay in office anymore.
And the reason you say this
I will
is...
explain.
What have they done wrong?
I'll explain to you.
Yes.
I'll explain to you. Look, in the last election, by the way, I wanted them out as early as those days. And I remember one day you were supposed to go on a program together with Capital FM those days. You were
Yes.
with the bench.
Right.
On the same thing.
Yes.
I'll just give you one example. All the BVRs failed in my constituency and all those other constituencies.
That was then.
That was then.
That was then.
I'm explaining to you.
Okay.
If you remember, if you look back at history and see how the IEBC, through its own chairman, was so vociferously defending the fact that this election is going to be carried out 100% above vote. Because we came out from an election that almost made us a failed state. And for these things to fail, to the extent which I'll tell you right now, I never petitioned myself. If I wanted to petition, it would have been, an open and shut file.
Now you want to say you were rigged out?
No, I'll tell you what happened. I'll just give you one example. In a place called Kadaksa, where my own family lives, about 202 people who voted in that place. 200 of them voted for me, and 2 voted for my opponent, the current senator of Garissa County. The numbers were reversed.
How do you know your family members voted for you?
No, I'm telling you.
No, how do you know?
But we have our agents there. Jeff, for once, be a very serious arbiter in here who's extremely non-partisan. I'll explain to you. And that went across the board. I mean, there was a serious irregularities in the last election. You don't go and announce the results because when there's only 8,000 votes that separates between a supposed winner and the other one who is supposed to go for the runoff. When these guys are complaining that, or we were complaining 350,000 Votes were not accounted for. And then what happened? The whole thing was finally thrown out by the Supreme Court purely on technicalities, because 850 pages of that information was left out.
No.
So what are you saying? What are you saying? Why are you petitioning, or why are you complaining? What I'm
saying is that what we want is that this constitution is very clear. You can never abdicate the role of giving proper justice and then in the place just use technicalities. Our constitution is very substantive. Justice must be given.
Okay, so if it was reconstituted,
no, hang on a minute. Let me just finish what I'm telling you. And many other things, including the same server for TNA. It's the same server the same people who are giving us the server, the same people who are using.
But that's not true.
But let me explain to you even further than that. Everything that basically the IEBC as it is today has constituted, including the Okoa thing. Go to the Okoa thing. Okoa thing, they came out, but how do you verify the signatures?
No, come on, they verify.
But how do they verify the
constitution? You see, all the issues Mheshimiwa Farah is saying are the issues court normally says. When they are tried in court, it was found all of these were false. They are repeating the same story, the same narrative. I mean, look at the Okoa, where they brought 1.6 million, and I'm told when you verified in the computers, 800 become replicate, same people who are repeating it. So when you tell them, I mean, for court, unless they get what they want, then they want to destroy institutions. If the candidate is not declared the winner, they will say we want it disbanded. If Okoa referendum is not allowed the way they want, they don't want to play by the rules.
Okay, but
and listen to me, when they play by the rules and fail to get the objective, they want the rules to be changed.
But why did Jubilee declare that the signatures were false even before IEBC?
No, it did not declare. It actually, if you listen to the Electoral Commission, it's not question of the signature. That stage has not been reached. One is you put the 1,600 votes into the computer system. Only 800 is valid. It's not the signature is the second stage. They have not reached that stage. They have failed at the first stage of the numbers.
No. They have not given us information to suggest that there was duplications in there. Give us that computer
that's the only reason why they failed.
Hang on a minute. To give us that printout. In any case, that's what I'm telling you. You do not go out there and abdicate your responsibility to deliver substantive justice because of certain technicalities. These people would have sat down with us. Hang on a minute. They would have sat down with us and told us, okay, you brought us 1.6 million. You have serious issues here that you want to go for a referendum. You have a shortfall of 150,000 votes, more signatures. Can you make them available, and how soon?
But you had your deadline.
No.
You had your deadline.
No, they took their sweet time, first of all, in going through these things until we went out there and complaining.
Court has been repeating the same narrative. Give us substantive justice. This is not technicality. This is not technicality.
It is a technicality.
This is a constitutional requirement. You are told to get 1 million votes. You can't get. If you get 800, that's not a procedural issue. Yeah. That's a substantive.
Let me ask you this, Gramula. Yes. If the IEBC was to be reconstituted, if they got rid of the present commissioners and brought in a new IBC, would that make court happy?
No. I mean, there's a very silly idea people are proposing that every party should nominate 1 or 2 members.
Yeah, I saw that.
I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, how do you have this is an independent commission? It's supposed to be independent from politicians. Yeah. You can't have court and Jubilee and this.
Yes.
That is a recipe for disaster.
The current
absolute disaster.
The current IEBC itself, if you remember, we had the interim ones, were also chosen by politicians. You remember that? And it still had to go through a political process. So to say that the IEBC itself should be, the commissioners should have absolutely no role of politicians in that, is to say the least something that's not practicable. It never happens. Let me just explain. We had a similar situation in the early 90s, in the mid 90s, 1997, when we had NCEC. By the way, I had proposed Ahmednasir as one of the chairs of the NCEC. He never took up that position.
Why not?
Well, he's scared of countries.
No, I had some other commitments.
He was there for about a year as the chairman, but would never come and sit on the chair. But suddenly, Ahmednasir under this dispensation is so courageous. Maybe we have the kind of freedom that one needs to be able to operate. But let me explain to you. We had that NCEC. And then we went for IPPG when we were going through these things. What was IPPG? Basically, we came to a middle ground. And we decided that the political class had got to sit down and save this country from a disaster. Because if you are a judge and I'm supposed to appear before you, and I have no faith in you what do you call delivering justice.
Yeah.
And I say, look, I want you to disqualify yourself from being the judge of this bench.
Yes.
It's only morally right for you to disqualify
But let me
yourself.
ask you this.
No, but there's one thing.
Yes.
As a country, we are a constitutional democracy.
Yes.
We have a constitution, we have a law. I don't subscribe, and I don't think Kenyans should accept that a group of people in a riotous mood storm a constitutional body and remove. There are constitutional process and procedures. We have already gone through one process. Someone took a petition to Parliament. It was debated. Court voted one side. Other politicians voted. The motion was defeated. So you can't subject the Electoral Commission to a periodic assault of removal.
Okay,
You have already failed in
let
one
me ask
way.
you this.
The
Mheshimiwa,
polls-
let me ask you
the
this.
polls that
What
were-
if
Yeah.
going forward,
Yes.
nothing happens?
Yes.
The present commissioners
Yes.
stay.
Yes.
What happens?
Do you know one thing? The opinion poll that was carried out of all Kenyans, over 70% of Kenyans have no faith in the IEBC.
Oh, no, can I tell you one thing?
Just a moment,
No,
just
no.
a moment.
Opinion polls in this country
Yeah.
are not
No, no, no,
scientific.
no.
They are not scientific.
Hang
They're
on,
joking.
hang on a
I've
minute.
said many times.
No, this is the same thing Ahmednasir was saying. If it doesn't suit them, he says that. Now, it doesn't suit him, he says it's not scientific.
No,
For
that-
God's sake.
no, they are not
For God's
scientific,
sake,
I
even
can
if it's
tell
not
you.
scientific.
Yes.
And you can have a margin of error of 5 and maybe a plus or minus.
Yeah, it's 20,
But
30%.
70%, 75% do not have faith in IEBC. You're talking about the national
Yeah.
interest and the
So,
national
so,
mood.
so
Can
with the poll say the
can I-
president's popularity is 50 plus now.
The margin
Yes.
of error.
Is that scientific?
Is
the
that
ma-
scientific?
No, no. The
Are
margin
you
of
happy with
the
that?
margin of error in this country is
Yes.
20-30%.
No, are you happy with that? Are you happy with the president having a
No. That's not true. I mean, the opinion polls in this country are not scientific. If they say, for example, that the president's popularity is 60%,
Yes.
it can't be true.
They
So-
say now, they say
so when
it's
they
over 50%.
No,
Yes.
it is not true. When they say, for example, IPC is 70, those are. I mean, it's not true.
You're over 70%.
Okay, so real quick, who's going to win the next general election?
We don't know. We will wait. But court is in a bad shape,
No.
as you know.
The next election,
I'm-
if we put our
and I'm
house
neutral,
right,
Yes.
if we put our house right, we win, hands down. We won 2 elections, by the way. We're rigged out twice. ODM was rigged out in 2007, and CORD was rigged out in 2013. So,
But the
He was the lawyer.
No,
but
of
course, he
no,
was
but
being
the question
paid
you
for
should
it.
always
He was
ask
being
is,
paid for it, so.
why do they always claim they were rigged out? Why? When will
Well,
they win?
That is the question. To be or not to be? By the way, do you control the Supreme Court?
I control. The only place I control is my house with my wife and my office. Yes.
They say you control the Supreme Court.
No. How do I control? Those are, I mean.
Are you going to control who's the next CJ? Oh boy.
I don't even sit in the JC. People don't know that.
Look, talking
Does
of
this
the,
man control the judiciary?
talk of the CJ, Willie Mutunga, Dr. Willie Mutunga.
Yes.
He's got an impeccable character as a human being. The man has decided he's going to leave that office 1 year before his term comes to an end, so that somebody new can come, and that somebody new can basically get
And that
adjusted
somebody
to the
new
office.
is going to be controlled by whom?
No.
Or picked by whom?
He was in JC. Ahmed was in JC before. He's no longer in JC.
Maybe he wants to be the CJ.
I don't know if there's some kind of a... No. He wants to be the CJ? Ahmed wants to be the CJ. You're laughing yourself.
Raimula, would you want to be
No,
CJ?
hang on a minute.
I have answered that question so many times.
Yeah.
And I've said so many times that I have no interest
In becoming a judge.
in becoming a judge, whether it's a High Court judge, a Court of Appeal, or Supreme Court. I have no interest.
Or CJ?
Or CJ, because
he has a lot more
there are
money to
many
make
other
elsewhere.
things one can do than becoming a judge. And there are many good judges, and I'm happy the way the judiciary is. But I can, if anybody's scared, and there are so many,
Yes.
especially some lawyers.
Yes.
I have no interest in becoming a judge in my lifetime.
Jeff,
on this earth.
why can't the IEBC boss and his team take also the moral high ground that Willie Mutunga has taken? That if Kenyans are not happy with us, we still have 1.5 years to go.
but
Let us have a new IEBC.
Why?
and
Because-
let them-
wait. The analogy is so poor because Willie Mutunga's term is coming to an end, but he has elected to go.
When is it
and
coming to an
retire
end?
Yes.
one
When
year
is it
earlier.
coming?
Yes.
He has made that choice. The difference is IEBC, they have the right to make the choice. They have
Absolutely.
not made. And these guys want to storm the place.
IEBC,
Gentlemen, let's take a real quick-
IEBC has got over 70% in the disapproval
Yeah.
rating among Kenyans.
In some polls, right?
Among Kenyans.
Among
Okay,
court
let's
members.
take a
No,
break,
no.
gentlemen. Come back. I want to ask you about this Nelson Harvey. Who is he?
You think I have time to talk about that guy?
Who is this?
Keep
What's
tweeting
it?
at
So a
Farah
small
Maalim.
student of mine at the University of Nairobi.
Former student.
At Ahmednasir Law.
Who is
At
obsessed.
Koinange Jeff.
He thinks
Where's my extinguisher?
everything that happens in
Where's
the
my
judiciary, he
extinguisher?
thinks he's a small.
All right, keep tweeting. We're going to take a real quick break, come back, plenty more with the Grand Mola and the man who wants to unseat Aiden Duale. Somebody say, oh my! Jeff Koinange live at the Villa Rosa Kempinski takes a break. We'll be back in a moment. Who is this Nelson Harvey?